As Secretary of State, your main responsibility would be to make the image of the United States better. That is the number one mission, I guess. There are reports in the American press that your role has not been very outstanding, that you have been sidelined, that you have been overshadowed by the president, by the vice president, by the national security advisor. Is that true?
Well, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I think that we have a great team. But it is funny to me, having been in the White House with my husband when he was president.
Yes.
The president is the president.
Yes.
You know, I tried to be the president and was not successful. So
You tried.
I know the president is the president, and I think that.
Did you try very hard to be president?
Oh yes, I did try very hard. Yes, indeed. But what the president does is to get a team that he believes complements what he's trying to achieve. And I was very surprised when President Obama asked me to be the Secretary of State, because we had competed very hard in the primary elections. And he said, look, I really need you, and I believe that we can have a great relationship, and we do. It's been everything I could have hoped for. We see each other on a frequent basis. I work closely with the Vice President and the National Security Advisor, the Secretary of Defense, and others. But what happened is I broke my elbow.
Yes, in June.
Very sad, yes.
What happened?
Oh, I tripped and fell, but luckily I didn't hit my head.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so I hit my elbow and it broke in 2 places, and it was very
But you're only
painful.
62 this year.
Why do you have to tell everybody that?
I checked.
I could have gone all day without that being part of the interview.
Sorry.
So once I
I'm
broke...
63, so
Oh, good. I'm glad you're an older man. So once I broke my elbow, there were a couple of trips I was supposed to take. And I couldn't take them. It was just too inconvenient and painful. And besides, I didn't want to do anything that would interfere with the important trip I was taking to India and Thailand. And I knew that if I set back my recovery, that might interfere. So I went to see the president, and I said, you know, Mr. President, I'm not going to be able to go to Russia with you. I'd worked very hard to get the meeting set up and everything. And he said, don't. He said, look, we need you to be 100%, you know, we're in this for the long run. And I said, well, I appreciate that, because I just don't think I could be 100% if I went at that point. So now it's, you know, about a month and a few days after my surgery, and I'm much stronger, and I really appreciated the chance to take a little time to do the physical therapy. So anyway, so I'm not with the president on the trip, and all of a sudden everybody was going, oh, where is she? She's gone. She's disappeared. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, gosh, I'm here. I'm actually here. But it was one of those things that happened, not to be taken too seriously.
How does it feel, though, to work with a former competitor before, and now President Barack Obama?
You know, it is one of the most common questions I'm asked in Asia. And think about it. I mean, we really worked hard against each other to defeat the other. And we said some things about each other that, you know, weren't the nicest things to say.
Not very nice.
Not very nice. But in our country, when the election is over, we try to work together for the good of the country. And in our system, when the president asks you to serve, you feel that you really should, because you want to help the president succeed. And so the president has asked Republicans to serve, not just Democrats like me who competed against him, but the vice president, Joe Biden, also ran against him for a while. So the president has tried to have a very unified approach to his administration. And when I was in Indonesia, it was such a common question, because in many countries, the hard-fought political competition continues.
They don't look at each other.
They don't look, they don't talk to each other. It's very personal. Lines are drawn. And so the Indonesians kept saying, how do you work with somebody you ran against?
Yeah.
I said, well, that's what we have learned through all these years of democracy, that the country must come first, that politicians come and go. People win and lose elections. But once the election is over, you can still have policy disagreements, and we do, as is obvious, but we should try to get along, and we should try to pull in the same direction for the good of the country. So I have no problem with that at all.
How many days did it take you to make that decision after the president called? And
Well,
said,
it took a while because I loved being a senator from New York. And once my campaign ended a year ago, June, I was very happy with the idea that I'd go back to representing New York. So right after the election, when the president won, and he called me, I said, "Oh, I have other people that would be so much better. Let me give you their names. You know, go talk to them."
Did you give him names?
I did. I gave him names, and as you have seen, watching him on TV, he's very persuasive.
Yeah.
So,
What did he say to you that changed your mind?
well, first of all, despite our hard-fought campaign, we agreed on most things, and we magnified our differences because you have to have differences. Otherwise, why will someone vote for you or against the other person? So what we talked about in the days after his election is, you know, how we would proceed, and he gave me an enormous amount of authority as Secretary of State, and really everything I asked for so that I could do the job that he wanted me to do, he agreed to, and I was running out of excuses. I remember late one night I said, "Oh, I don't know. I mean, you're really making this hard for me." And he goes, "I mean to make it hard for
For your role as Secretary of State, what's the legacy that you would like to leave behind?
Well, I think we want to demonstrate that the United States will lead effectively in the world through creating partnerships with friends and allies like Thailand, and that how we exercise our power will use all the tools at our disposal. Of course, we have a very strong and dedicated military, but we'd rather that be a last resort, not a first resort. And we want to emphasize diplomacy and development and exchanges and dialogue. And I think if we can change that approach and get results for people, because I'm interested in how people's lives change, not just agreements between governments, but do these agreements lead to more children going to school, or more mothers getting health care, or more jobs being created? That's what I'm looking for. So that's how I think we should judge the work that we do.
Right, just now you said you've been mother for your whole life since 1980, 8 years as First Lady, 8 years as Senator, and of course 4 years now as Secretary of State. Will we ever get to see you as President of the United States?
Well, that's not anything I'm at all thinking about. I think the job I have now is incredibly demanding, and I'm 100% focused on it. And in our country, when you're in the Secretary of State position, you're out of politics. So I'm not involved in our domestic politics at all, and that's fine with me because this job is so demanding.
You've given up hope to be the first lady president?
Well, I've got a very demanding and exciting job right now, and I'm not somebody who looks ahead. You know, I don't know, but I doubt very much that anything like that will ever be part of my life.
So it's wait and see.
No.
Never say never.
Well, I am saying no. Because I have a very committed attitude toward the job I'm doing now. And so that's not anything that is at all on my radar screen.
If you had a choice,
You are very persistent.
because you're curious, you know,
Oh, yes.
that, you know, you were running such an exciting campaign. We were watching you. And a lot of us thought, you're going to make it. You see.
So did I.
So what was the biggest mistake?
Oh, gosh, I'm not going to go back and look at all that. We don't have enough time to talk about
all
those.
right.
There were plenty of them, though, to be
No, when I was
sure.
going to ask you if you had a choice, meaning that if you had been given the choice to choose between Secretary of State, Education, Energy, perhaps you might have second thoughts.
No, I don't really. I think those are very important jobs. I've done a lot of work in both of them. But, you know, the Secretary of State has such an important role in representing our country and the President to the world. And it's something that I'd had a lot of experience in. You know, I'd already been to a country like Thailand. I'd already been to visit many places, not just the governmental, official residences, but to go to Chiang Rai and Chiang Mai and see people and how they were living and what they were doing, and to create a lot of the structure for women's empowerment around the world, which is something that I've worked on very, very hard. So I felt really well equipped and ready to take on that job.
So no hesitation.
Well, once I tried to, unsuccessfully to talk the president out of offering it to me, once it was clearly offered, I said, absolutely, I'll sign up.